everyone, and welcome back to World Builder. In case you can't tell, my nose is incredibly clogged right now, so if I sound a little bit different, that is why. In this episode, we are going to be constructing the main focus of this entire village, and that will be the clock tower here. I didn't really intend it for it to be the main focus, but after I made it, it was like, okay, this is really important and large, so it will be the main focus. It is in the center, and it really draws your attention uh, because of how large it ends up being. So, originally I tried to make it a lot bigger than it should have been, so I cut it back a bit and made it smaller, and decided on a roof style that was like this, where it goes up one but also out one at the same time. And I really like the way that that looks to kind of separate this bottom layer from the top layer. And what it also allows me to do is bring the size of the building itself, down by one all around without making it look like that's what's actually happening. And I really like how that turned out in the end, even though building the roof shape itself is kind of awkward. Like it's kind of weird looking shape, but I think it worked out in the end. Gotta fill all that in as well. So I originally put this second layer right there, where it was only one block in. And after doing that, um, you have to fill in the walls and stuff, and then refill in all the stairs from the roof that miss. You have to do that. Um, but eventually, I moved the pillars into the walls themselves instead of separating them out because it just fit better with the clock, as you will see later. Another annoying thing about this is that I had to bring the roof in another block, which, although it didn't take very long, it's still kind of an annoying angle to try and reach with the stairs. So, it's always a good idea to plan that out beforehand and put your stairs where you want them to go first. So here's some early designing of the clock tower. I tried it out with a stone border originally, stone brick border. And eventually I decided, okay, no, this looks bad, it's too small. So I eventually just make the whole thing out of wool instead of doing a border. But then I'm like, okay, this kind of looks weird. Like there's no border here, it just kind of doesn't fit right. So I decided to bring the border out a block. And this causes the stone brick of the border to interfere with the wood, um, that's the pillars. So after making the clock on all four sides, which I really like the way it looks also. I like the buttons around the outside and stuff. I think that looks great. Um, so after making the clocks on all four sides, I bring the pillars into the walls, and it was an interesting decision. um, but I think it looks good. It makes the clock feel like it's really sticking out of the tower, which is kind of what I was going for. So I guess that kind of works. Another thing here was that the clocks themselves, the borders touch. Like the border of one is also the border of another, because of the way it is. So the stairs don't line up exactly how they should, but I think it's okay. Like it doesn't, you don't really notice it. So yeah. So here's what I was talking about. The clock kind of seems to come out of the tower, but I think it looks pretty good. So I kept it. Also, for the top of the tower, I originally didn't want to do like a roof in a similar style to the one I did down at the bottom. So I decided to delay it by building like a pavilion at the top of the tower. Even though this tower will have no interior, because I'm lazy and also because it's just a really awkward shape to make because of how it gets smaller at the top. So I put a little pavilion thing at the top of the tower, um, which was made out of slabs originally. I changed that to stairs later, just because it gives me a better shape. And the clock itself, I don't know what time that is, because the hands are both the same length, so can't really tell. But it's either like 5 o'clock or 12:25, I guess. Let's go with that. Either 5 o'clock or 12:25 on this clock. Whichever one you think is better. That's the time it is. Um, so changing out the top for stairs, it looks a lot different, but I think it ended up looking pretty good. So easily the most time-consuming part of this entire build was making these walls. Making this bottom part in general. Mostly because the walls were so thick, but also because I had to detail it in a different way to how I had to detail any building really in the past, especially on this series. So I resorted to the stuff that I've done in the past, and that was doing a kind of focal point in the middle, and I do that in the form of a window, um, making an arch shape over it, getting a nice window, and filling it in as a window. So making a window there, and then kind of branching out from that, using stairs and slabs and all that stuff. And it was an interesting process. It doesn't look the greatest, but I'm not sure how I would change it otherwise without making it look too plain. So, well, there are some ideas, but I think it looks fine enough for what I need it to be. So I will keep it for now, unless I look back at it tomorrow and think, wow, this is really ugly, and then I'll change it. Um, so, yeah, the pattern there just kind of fill something in there that doesn't look terrible. And then this pattern is repeated on all four sides. So that does take a little while to do, as I have to go back and learn how to do it. And during this, I realized that, oh, there is so much stone brick in this building. Why don't I change some of that? So I decided to replace some of it with cobblestone in the roof, and those stone brick slabs should be cobblestone slabs on the top. Don't know why I forgot to change those. Um, and I also replaced some of the stone brick in the detailing with stone slabs, just to make it a bit better overall, and add some more block variance to the building. And if there's anything we've learned over the course of this village here, it's that block variance makes everything look better. So, change up your blocks, mix in random blocks to things, it'll make it look better, as long as the blocks look somewhat similar. So, yeah, podzol, coarse dirt, spruce planks, all that stuff goes really well together. Mix it together. Mix your blocks. Don't use one block. Mix them up. Makes it look better. Okay. So I also decide to mix some blocks in with the spruce wood itself. And it looks okay. Again, I feel like a lot of this is just, it looks okay. Except for the top. I really like the clock and the roof above it. But the first floor here just looks pretty okay. So, it's not really a bad thing, but it's not really the greatest thing that there could be either. Um, yeah. So, to mix in the blocks, rather than trying to do it from the outside, I decided to do it from the inside because you can mix them in easier, just having the wall full of spruce and then mixing that way. So I ended up doing that um, after looking up on Google blocks to mix with spruce wood and getting no results, so that was helpful. But in the end, I decided to just get a bunch of brown things. So that was brown wool, brown concrete powder, brown terracotta, and brown concrete. Mix all those in with the spruce wood, and it certainly looks different. I think if I were to do this differently, I would not mix in one of those two things, or like a couple of those, and just make it more randomized with just two of them. And I think that would get a better effect overall. But in the end, I think it does look pretty good with the mixing in that I have done. And I will keep that in the future. And with that, I'm going to leave this here. Leave a like, subscribe if you enjoyed, if you comment any feedback you have for me, and I will see all of you later. Bye.